Okay, this is Dr. Delahousie, and I am making this video for my MAE 4344 class, Senior Design at Oklahoma State University. And this is the second part of what will probably be a three-part series of videos talking about planning and scheduling. I've already made a video, the first part, where I defined the critical path method and defined all the terminology and the symbols, etc. for understand how the critical path method can be used to take the activities of a project and turn them into a schedule to define what is called the critical path, or the very quickest that I can solve a given project by looking at the longest path that goes through a document. And what I want to do now is take what we learned from the critical path method and solving a very simple problem by hand, and I want to place it into this piece of software that you can download, and this software is called Gantt Project, or you can see it up here in the title, Gantt Project. You can acquire Gantt Project just by going to Google and searching for the one-word Gantt Project. It will lead you right to their website where you can download this program. So I'm going to assume that you can do this on your own. What I want to do in this particular video is first take this critical path problem precisely and enter it as quickly into Gantt Project and enter it as quickly as I can into Gantt Project and produce a Gantt chart. For my class, there are lots of ways you could produce Gantt charts, including just very simply in Excel. But programs like Gantt Project, which is a very simple version, or Microsoft Project, which I don't have available on a machine where I'm able to record videos, so I can't show you how to use Microsoft Project. They'll give a lot more value to the planning and scheduling problem than simply coming up with a Gantt chart, and we'll talk about that a little bit in this video and more in the third video that I will do. So I'm going to take this particular critical path problem, set it off to the side, and I'm going to start entering this problem into Gantt Project. So sliding that out of the way, I will click on Project, New, and since we've already solved the problem and I know that it's a 19-week project, I'm going to call this 19-week project. And I could fill in organization, notes, web stuff, etc. Okay, this box shows one of the real weaknesses of this project. If you're doing a software development project, then you can assign roles to various people, including developer, document writer, testers, analysis, web designer, etc. If you accept the default roles, there are only two, the undefined and the project manager, and I haven't found a way to create additional roles to define what precisely people are going to be doing. So we'll go with the default, and I will click on Next, where we can decide, do weekends matter? We check off Saturday and Sunday would be typical weekends, and we can, if we're worried about it, we can bring in the holiday system or the holiday dates for the United States, and there will be a presumption that there won't be any work accomplished on those dates. All right, this project has been created. Now we have typical Windows menu stuff where we can do project associated things, edit some things, views, tasks, resources, etc. We also have toolbars to open a file, to save a file. What we want to do is start creating these tasks. So I'm going to click on New Task, and I want my task going back to this problem. My first tasks would be 1, 2, and 1, 3. Each of those tasks having a duration of 7 and 2. So my first task will be 1, 2. Let's click in here, 1, 2. And right now there's nothing else to type in. And this is actually showing a little bit more than I expected it to on startup. We'll talk about some of this stuff later. It would sure be nice to have a quick and easy way to type in other things, especially the duration. I can get to the duration by double clicking on the task, and that particular activity had a duration of 7. And other things that I could set here, additional constraints, earliest begin, it's almost sort of assumed anyway. Priority, I'm not going to do anything with priority. We could change colors, etc. Predecessors, we will see later, because this activity doesn't have a predecessor. Resources we'll see a little bit later, etc. So I'm just going to go with that one for now. Okay, and so I have this activity with a duration of 7 days. Now this may look like 9 days if you did the counting, but there are 2 weekend days right there. So this is has a duration of 7 days. And unfortunately, this program will not let you change the meaning of time. So a 7 in the duration entry does mean 7 days, not 7 hours or 7 weeks. And I have not found a way to change that duration. So if your project needs to last weeks and you know that it's going to last 8 weeks, then just multiply by 5 working days per week and put down 40 days for that duration. I'm just going to treat all of these durations as days and just use the numbers right off that activity chart that we saw in the earlier problem. Now, one thing I like to do, you can control the columns that you see about activities. So I'm going to right click on any one of those columns, go to manage columns. I want to add the duration column. So I'm going to click on duration and say show selected. And now I see the duration showing up on a column, and I can type durations in there. So the next activity that I want to add is going to be activity 1.3, and it had a duration of 2. And so that's just a little bit quicker to go that way. And then I will add activity, and I need to go back to my spreadsheet and scroll a little bit so I can see that. I'll add activity 2.5, and it had a duration of 4. And now if I click add here, and this one's highlighted in blue, I think it's going to add right after that blue one. Let's see, really delete. Did I click on delete? No, let's cancel that. Add. Yeah, see, it's adding here, which is fine. And some of the things I can do, so activity 2.5, activity 3.4 would have been my next one. And it has a duration, looking at the diagram, of 6 days. And then I can right click on this one because I'd like them to be in order. I can move it down, and this tells me that alternate down arrow will move things down. So I will use alternate down arrow to move that one to the bottom. With this blue one highlighted, when I create a new one, that's going to be activity 3.7, and it has a duration of 5. And I add an activity, and that is going to be activity 4.5. That had a duration of 2. That 51 needs to change to a 5. I mistyped that. Why did that change? I don't know. That's a 2. Then activity 4.6 has a duration. Oh, I see. Sometimes when I click in here, it brings me right into the editor. Sometimes I just click and can type on it. Let's see, 4.6 has a duration of 5, and I will add one, and this is going to be activity 4.7, and if I hit enter, it jumps to there, and now I should just be able to type the 3, okay, and not getting extra ones in there. That jumped back to the top. I don't know why. I'll click here. I will add activity 5.7, no, 5.8, which has a duration of 7. I will add activity 6.8, and that has a duration of 6. And I will add activity, the final one, 7.8, and that has a duration. Boy, sometimes I click here, it highlights it, sometimes it doesn't. Don't quite follow that. Delete and put a 3 there. Okay, and so I have all of my activities named. The beginning date, I just accepted that as starting the beginning date of the project. There is a place to type in the beginning date of the project. I probably should have done that first, but let's see. So project properties, calendar. Okay, the new start date is going to be, let's say we want to start this thing as of Monday next week. Let's say that's when we're really starting to work on this project, and that'll move all the tasks in the project. So I'll say OK, and let's see if it has really moved them. It has moved them. It's changed all of those dates. Probably something I should have done in the beginning. All right, now I have all of the tasks for my projects. We are showing task name. We're showing a task ID right here. I don't know if that happens by default. Other times I've run the program, there was nothing there, but I'm going to go right click and go to chart options. And I'm going to say that what I want to see above the task is the task name. If when you start a file, you see nothing here and you would like to see the task name above each bar, then you just choose for the above selection the task name or anything else that you would like to see above. Let's see, to the right we have the task ID. That's not very interesting. I'm just going to scroll back and turn that one off. Seeing predecessors might be nice, and seeing the task coordinator later might be nice. And so we see now only the task name above each bar. What we need to now to do is recall that our project not only has activities with names and durations, but there are time dependencies. And so we need to build in those time dependencies. Okay, and the way this system works is for a given activity, I can define a predecessor relationship by dragging a link from from the first activity to the second activity. Actually, I've never tried it in reverse, but activity 1-2 precedes activity 2-5. Activity 1-3 precedes 3-4 and 3-7. I think if I were to go the other way, I'm only dragging arrows the wrong way, so I can't do that. Activity 4-6, there's a predecessor relationship there. And activity 4-6 also preceded by 3-4. And 4-7 preceded by 3-4. Yes. 5-8 would be preceded by 2-5. 6-8 would be preceded by 4-6. 7-8 would be preceded by 4-7 and 3-7 and 7-8. Okay, I think I have captured all of that. And so just looking back at my graph and sort of trying to put it all somewhat on the same page. Let's try putting it right there for now. That's not too bad. Oops, that just went full screen. Didn't want that. There we go. Okay, so 1-3 precedes two events, 3-4 and 3-7. Is that showing up? 1-3 precedes 3-4 and 3-7. And 2-5 precedes 5-7. That's an easy one. 2-5 precedes, sorry, 5-8, not 5-7. Okay, I believe I've got these right. And so now I've done sort of the minimum work necessary to create a Gantt chart. Here is the Gantt chart. One of the most interesting things to do is, of course, is to show the critical path. And we could count the days. I don't think there's anything here that tells us the total number of days, but I suspect if we selected the 10th minus the 15th and subtracted out the weekends, we'll find out that this takes 19 days to get the job done. we see the critical path highlighted. And at this point, if all you want is a Gantt chart and you want to use this program to produce the Gantt chart, we're done. We can do some other things though to get a bit more value out of this thing, including adding resources of either people or equipment or whatever to the project to be able to not only track the schedule, but to be able to track resources. And so let's go to the resource chart. And this says I'm going to add a new resource. And first resource I'm going to add is me. And I could put phone number and email and days off and other things in there. A weakness of this program is either I have an undefined role or the project manager, and there appears to be nothing I can do to change that. So I'm going to make me the project manager. Okay. And I'm going to add another role. And now I'm going to make a political reference you might want to go look up, because the name of the other person is the in sort of Old English. And the other person I'm going to add, just attempting to be mildly funny, the man behind the tree. So if you've never heard anything about me, thee, and the man behind the tree, it's an old political reference. Just for your own education, go look it up. So I've got 3 people associated with this project. And now what I can do, I'm going to go back to the Gantt. And on activity 1-2, I can double click on it and go to resources, and I can add me. And I'm going to add me at 50%. And I'm going to add the man behind the tree at 25%. And that's to activity 1-2. And now if we go back and look at the resources, I now see these showing up, and I think I can expand this. It shows that me is only 50% loaded right now for this duration, and that I am assigned to task 1-2. And so this first bar is a summary of everything I'm doing during these intervals. This is what I'm doing on project 1-2. And the man behind the tree also has 1-2 activities, and the person is not assigned yet. I'll go back to the Gantt chart. This actually behaved funny last night when I was doing this. Double click on 1-3, go to resources, and I'm going to add me at 25%. And I'm going to add thee at 75%. That's okay. And let's take a look at resource chart now. And I can see that okay, and this is okay, I can see I'm loaded at 75% for part of this time, 50% for part of this time, skip the weekend, and 50% for part of that time. And that comes from being associated 50% with activity 1-2 and 25% with activity 1-3. And person thee now is loaded at 75%. And so let's go add some more resources to these various activities. And so activity 2-4, I'm going to go to resources and add me at 75%. And I'm going to add thee at 100%. Okay, go back and look at the resources, and we can just close these up and see the big picture that I'm lightly loaded here in green, I am overloaded here in red, and I'm lightly loaded here. Thee is lightly loaded here. Blue means they're 100% loaded, and at this point the man behind the tree is still overloaded, and we notice that these bars are now extending further out. And so let's go to just one other activity, and that's going to move even further out, and we will assign resources of me at 25% and the hello at 75% and the man behind the tree at 100%. Okay, let's go take a look at the resources. And so we're underusing people, we're fully using people, and me is overloaded. And if this really was important to be able to use your people at an appropriate level, you would continue working this problem and assigning appropriate people and time to various tasks until you don't overload anybody unless you do it intentionally and you may be paying them overtime. And you try not to underload people too much because you're probably going to be paying them anyway. And so you try to make the resources work out. And then with this, when I want to know what I'm supposed to be doing at any given time, I can open up my section and see where I'm working these various projects. So if today is the 23rd, I'm supposed to be working on project 1-2 and project 3-4. And when the 26th hits, I would be working on exclusively on project 4-6 right now. So I can see what I'm supposed to be doing at any given time. Another thing that we can do, just to show a little bit more, although I'll show more of it when we look at an existing file, is let's say some of these activities sort of go together. And so I'm going to assume that 1-3, 3-7, and 7-8 go together. And so what I'm going to do is take activity 3-7, and let's see, I should be able to alternate up. And I'm going to put it below 1-3, and I'm going to indent it if I can. No, okay, we'll show this on, well, okay, now I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to make a new task, and this task is activity 1, just activity 1. And then I'm going to make a new task under that, and that task is activity 1A, and let's give it a duration, oops, I double clicked, a duration of 3, and I'm going to right click on this and indent it. That makes this task 1 sort of an overall, or a container task, and it gets its duration from the tasks that are included in it. And so I will come down here and add a task 1B, and with a duration of 5. And then I'm going to make, and notice that this container task now has a calculated duration of 5 until I add a dependency relationship that I can't start 1A until I finish, can't start 1B until I finish 1A. And we should see that the container task duration, it did update itself to become an 8. So I can have a hierarchy of tasks, and if I want to, I can make relationships between tasks within one hierarchy to another hierarchy. And so I could make, I could really blow my schedule is what I'm going to do, but I can drag a link from here to there. And that's going to probably, so that certainly changes the project. Or I could add a link from here, I think, yes, to there. So either this can have links or this one can have links. And then I can, if this is a sub-project, I can then close it out and hide an awful lot of the detail. If I wanted sort of a big picture Gantt chart, I would only show my container projects maybe and some of those kind of dependencies. So this whole indentation thing for making container projects that hold sub-projects within them can be very useful. Another thing that I can do is create an event. Let's click on that, and I'm going to unindent, and that user interface is a little glitchy, isn't it? We're going to call this milestone 1. And when I double click on it, I want to set it as a milestone rather than a task or an activity. And milestone 1 has a date, and milestone 1 is showing up here. Can I double click on it and open it up? It does. And I can change the date for milestone 1 to say maybe September 17th. Okay, let's see where that is. September 17th. This milestone shows up with a dot. And milestones are simply points in times where I would like to check on things and do a serious check on things and make sure that my schedule is staying on track or not. Now the other thing that I can do, let's add one other column here. Right click, manage columns, and let's go to completion. Show selected. Okay. And I'm going to say that I am, for completion, 100% complete on this one. Notice I get a black bar through it. I am 75% complete on this one. On this one, I'm going to be 100%. On this one, and notice that says for the container task that I'm 37% complete. And on this task, I'm going to be 50% complete. Notice the bars that are showing up, showing my completion. Notice the container class says I'm about 2/3 complete on this one. And I can hide those container parts, etc. Okay, this is the user interface and the tools available in this program to generate a Gantt chart, determine the critical path, to specify who's going to be working on things, what are the resources, to specify percent completion so that you can track how you're doing on the project, and also setting of milestone dates so that you can check your progress. I think this is most of what I know about this program. I'm going to end this video. The next video I make, we're just going to open up one of their existing files and just see how a little more well thought out project would look in this program.